This is a testimony about how I learned finally how to become what I considered to be a really successful professional actor before I left that field for a practice of Christian Science, spiritual healing. I was attracted to the theater for a long time. I'd always wanted to be an actor. I was doing that. I was being cast professionally. I was getting decent reviews. I'd at that point had maybe a 13-year career in the professional theater, working fairly frequently. And I was missing the thing I wanted most at that time. What I wanted most at that time was to not just be an employed actor. I wanted to be an actor of transcendence. I know that may sound a little egotistical, but I'd been in audiences in which an actor or actress gave such an inspired performance that thought just soared, heart beat, was set on fire, and I wanted to be that kind of an actor. And I worked and worked and worked, and I couldn't get there. I was decent, I was good, but I wasn't that. And it was so frustrating. Well, finally, after 13 years, I heard the message, if this is your heart's deep desire, why not pray about it? Ah, shock. I'd been healed many, many times, sometimes of things that material sense law, physical law, medical diagnosis said could not happen. So these had been impressive things, but I was kind of compartmentalizing my reliance on the divine into times of real physical need, and that's when I would go to the divine. But here I was in deep need, wanting to satisfy a real deep desire. So I finally prayed about it. And it didn't take too long to hear this message from the divine. In my prayer, I heard this: Jon, you're the problem. Well, really? Okay, expand on that. And I began to hear that I wanted to be that transcendent actor to aggrandize my own ego. To have people kind of bow down to me and say, oh, what an inspirational talent this guy is. What a fantastic actor. Well, that kind of woke me up a bit. I mean, it was the absolute opposite of humility. And I was led, shortly after hearing this message, to get into costume and makeup early, go to a secluded, dark area backstage and really pray. And the substance of my prayer was this: I was asking God to take me over, to get Jon Benson, human ego, self-aggrandizement kind of character, way gone. And instead really want to be an instrumentality of the divine, the place where all that was divine, the creativity, the intelligence, the goodness, the spirit, the life that flows from the divine, to use me, to course through me, to achieve unselfed ends this time, to bless the other actors in the dramatic moment on the stage, the director's intention, the author's intention, to bless the audience. It wasn't about me at all. And the moment that I began to seriously pray this way, the performances instantly went to that transcendent or almost transcendent level. I became an entirely different actor, the one that I'd been longing to be for 13 or 14 years. Now, most of the time, for the last 4 or 5 years of my career, this prayer resulted in performances in which ego was pretty much gone, and people were very, very complimentary and moved by them. But something fascinating happened soon after this began. Having had a 13-year career in the theater, there were a number of people in the theater whom I knew over time, who had seen a body of my work, and they would come backstage after one of these performances in which ego was largely gone. And they would come back with their jaws open and say, oh my gosh, Jon, this was incredible. Never seen you. this good before, but then they would inevitably say a paraphrase of the words that I'm about to say to you. The first time I heard them, it shocked me. They said, Jon, that was fantastic, but you know, I've never seen you so much yourself on stage. Wow. And I hope you can hear what's being said here. Because I was trying to get human ego, self-interest gone, it made room for who I really was to emerge. Because I believe I'm learning through the practice of Christian Science spiritual healing. I believe I'm learning that who we really are is the unfoldment of the divine, a unique, individual, perfect, wonderful expression of the divine unfolding its own being. And when we get this belief called second mind, second life, second self, wanting to ask God to do us favors, when we get that kind of gone, or largely gone, and the motive becomes unselfed, and all about letting God use you to accomplish something and giving God the credit and the glory, all of a sudden, our real individuality, who we really are, somewhat as God actually knows us to be eternally, starts to emerge in the human scene. And that makes all the difference. And I think this is a lesson that can translate into anything. A painter doing a painting, a poet writing a poem, a novelist writing his book, an architect building a beautiful building. When we're used by the divine, when we get ego out of the way, it makes all the difference in our career, because on the surface our career may be architect, engineer, actor, poet, painter, but deep down, the career above career, or if you will, our meta career, that's being the child of God. That's being the place where God walks in the human scene, unfolding his own being in us, as us, and through us. And to the degree that that's primary, turns out everything else gets a whole lot better. So thank you, God.